Hi everybody, how are you doing? So this is a question I've been getting a lot, and it's how to raise progesterone naturally. I've been getting a lot of people asking this, so I want to really get onto it and I want to be quick and concise. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Naomi Judge. I'm a naturopath and clinical nutritionist, and my aim is to help you connect the dots between your health, happiness and hormones. So really diving deep into hormones, to helping you see what's going on with you, what's connected to what you could be doing differently so that you reach your optimal health. And that's really my goal here. So in one of my other videos, I will put a link up for you. I talked about the signs and symptoms of progesterone deficiency. So I'm not going to go into that too deeply today, but what I will run through is low progesterone can make you infertile, it can cause recurrent miscarriage, it can cause depression, luteal phase defects. Your menstrual cycle can be really long or your menstrual cycle can be really short. You might have heavy painful bleeding. It can exacerbate cancers if it's too low. It might cause water retention, bloating, constipation, and also it can cause breast lumps, painful breasts. Particularly at that stage leading up to your period, the 10 days leading up, they can be horrendous for some. Depression, anxiety, low moods, not being able to sleep, suicidal tendencies, hurting yourself, self-harm. So all of these can be symptoms of low progesterone. I, for one, have had low progesterone, and I just remember those few days leading up to my period feeling very depressed, and I had super sore breasts, and I've even had 2 lumps that went away once I raised my progesterone. So that's the good news. Once you get these hormones balanced, you can actually get rid of a lot of symptoms and signs that you didn't realize were related to those hormones. So progesterone, what is it? It's a female hormone. It's produced in the adrenal glands, and it's also produced in the corpus luteum in your egg. So it's produced in the corpus luteum around ovulation, those 14 days leading up to your menstrual cycle. Essentially, that's prepping your body for birth, and then if you do get pregnant and you conceive, progesterone rises and rises, and then progesterone is synthesized in the placenta as a baby grows, and that's how your body makes it. If you're not pregnant, the corpus luteum will die, your progesterone will suddenly drop out, and that's why a lot of women can feel a little bit shitty during their period, particularly if they're adrenally fatigued or highly stressed, because the other place that progesterone is produced is in your adrenal glands. And so if your adrenal glands aren't functioning properly, you won't be raising and making enough progesterone, and so you might feel actually okay that week or 2 before your period because you've got more progesterone than the rest of the time. So the rest of the time you might feel awful, you might have headaches, you might feel fatigued, you might feel constipated, you might feel depressed, you might just lack apathy and like, I don't care. And so you can see, depending on when you feel your worst, will give us a good indication of why you're not producing progesterone and what the actual underlying issue is. Okay, so things that lower progesterone, progestins lower progesterone, they are found in the implantation rod, in the Mariva ring, in your oral contraceptive pills. Toxins lower progesterone, so PVC, BPA, toxins, heavy metal, all suppress progesterone production. Also estrogen, so if you're estrogen dominant, or you're on the oral contraceptive pill, or you're on HRT, or you're taking anything with synthetic hormones or estrogens in, that will also suppress your production of progesterone as well. So where does it all start? So the whole hormone synthesis cycle starts with cholesterol, and cholesterol is turned into pregnenolone, and then pregnenolone is synthesized into progesterone. So we need to get that process right first. Cholesterol turns into pregnenolone in your mitochondria. So it all starts in the mitochondria. So if your mitochondria aren't functioning, you won't be able to produce enough pregnenolone. So for the mitochondria to produce enough pregnenolone, 2 vital nutrients here are in play: iron and ascorbic acid. So if you're low in iron, or you've got low iron stores, which is your ferritin, they're suboptimal, you're going to find it hard to make pregnenolone. You're going to find it hard to get that up, and then you won't be able to make the progesterone. So those are 2 nutrients already: ascorbic acid and your iron. So check your iron and check your iron stores. More commonly than not, I see my clients who have got low iron also have low progesterone, so check that out. Also, NADH helps to support pregnenolone production in the mitochondria. And we know what helps that a lot. That is nicotinamide ribose. So nicotinamide ribose is a nutrient that helps to support mitochondria function. So by supplementing with that while you're trying to support your hormones, that will help with the pregnenolone production. Okay, so does that make sense? So cholesterol via hydroxylation makes pregnenolone in the mitochondria, and it's the anterior pituitary that tells it to produce pregnenolone, and that is needed. You need ATP for that production, you need water for that synthesis, and you also need iron and ascorbic acid. And what helps to upregulate that as we get older is nicotinamide ribose, so you need that as well. Progesterone is produced in the corpus luteum and or the adrenals. So my next nutrient is actually a herb, and this herb is called Vitex. Vitex or chaste tree. Not everyone can take this. It's not for everyone. So what Vitex does is it raises FSH, raises luteinizing hormone, and can also raise progesterone by stimulating the corpus luteum. So Vitex is fabulous if you've got any problems ovulating, you've got any problems with your ovaries, eggs, and corpus luteum production, you've got infertility, you've got longer cycles, you've got a luteal phase defect, so the luteal phase might be too long for others or too short for others. I have got clients who sometimes ovulate around 20-21 of their cycle, and then they have their period on day 28. So that's a luteal phase defect as well. Ovulating too late means your luteal phase is just a few days, not enough time to get pregnant. So if you know you've got low progesterone and you know you've got infertility, you're having problems with your luteal phase, Vitex or chaste tree can be fabulous. Now remember, you need low prolactin for high progesterone. So if you're breastfeeding, you shouldn't be taking chaste tree or Vitex unless you want to stop breastfeeding, because what it does is as it's raising your progesterone, it actually suppresses prolactin, and that's the main hormone needed for breastfeeding. So just be careful and don't take it if you want to continue breastfeeding. If you want to breastfeed and support your hormones, you can take things like B6, B vitamins to help you there. Next is ubiquinol. So ubiquinol is a form of coenzyme Q10. Ubiquinol has been shown to support FSH and progesterone production. So it raises FSH and also raises progesterone. So but ubiquinol at about 150 milligrams to 300 milligrams. Now remember, this really only works if you've got low FSH. So you want to be knowing what your FSH is, and you want to be testing, and you want to be understanding what are your luteinizing hormone doing, what are your FSH doing, and then that will have a knock-on effect on your progesterone. But ubiquinol helps to raise follicle stimulating hormone, and it helps to raise progesterone. So if you've got very low progesterone in menopause you normally have high follicle stimulating hormone. So ubiquinol won't really work for you then. In menopause, you need to be working on the adrenal glands rather than working on your eggs or on the corpus luteum for progesterone production. So you need to be working at your stress levels, figuring out how to nourish your adrenals, and looking at those before everything else. Next is thyroid hormone 3. Thyroid hormone 3 actually helps to produce progesterone as well, supports the synthesis. Now T3, you've got T4, which is thyroxine, that's produced in the thyroid gland here. T4 goes to target tissue and then makes active T3. Active T3 is your metabolic hormone. If this is low, you'll feel constipated, tired, depressed, you might have hair loss, you might have weight gain, all of these kind of symptoms, dry skin, those typical low thyroid symptoms. So if your thyroid is low and your T3 is low, you might also have low progesterone production. And here's the catch-22. Progesterone production helps promote T4 production. So you kind of just have this vicious cycle. One's not high enough to produce the other, that's not high enough to produce the other, so everything kind of stays low. So what you want to do is you want to help to promote T3 production. So you can do that in a number of different ways. You can either do that through medication. So if you know you've got hypothyroid issues and you're seeing a practitioner, you can talk to your practitioner about natural desiccated thyroid hormone that has a mix of T3 and T4, because most GPs and endocrinologists will put you on T4, but not everyone can make T3 from T4, you know, if that whole process is not working. What you can also do, if you know you tend to have a little bit T3 on the lower end, like I do, my T3 is always a little bit under, it's not optimal all the time. I have a tendency for it to be sluggish, and I know when it's sluggish, as soon as my thyroid gets a little bit under, I start to feel tired and I start to get low mood. So I know that my thyroid's not working. But what you can do is you can support your T3 production using selenium and zinc. So around 150 to 300 micromilligrams of selenium, depending how low you are. Some people like Brazil nuts, you know, 2 to 4 Brazil nuts a day for your selenium. And zinc as well for the production of thyroid hormone 3. So around 30 to 50 milligrams of zinc. It's also in oysters, it's also in pepitas, nuts and seeds, and good quality meat. So just making sure you're getting that. Now remember as well, if you're low in B6, you won't be able to utilize the zinc. And don't use a citrate form of zinc because that does block the copper. You want to be using the amino chelated form of zinc, the one that's bound to the amino acid, the biglycinate. That's going to absorb much better, and you may also want to take it with B6 as well to help the absorption. The citrate will block copper, and we need copper for thyroid function and hormone development as well. So just remember that. Next is catecholamines, so dopamine in particular, so adrenaline, noradrenaline, but we're talking about dopamine. Dopamine supports the synthesis of progesterone. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that if it's low, it can cause low motivation, it can cause depression, it can cause apathy, it can cause low sex drive, it can cause moodiness, insomnia, sugar craving, sex addiction, all of those kind of forgetfulness, lack of focus, all of those kind of things. So it's quite common to have low dopamine, but you can do a few things to raise dopamine. So tyrosine is a wonderful amino acid that helps support dopamine and also serotonin, so you can take that. But also doing things like new things, having new foods, trying new things out, actually naturally stimulates your dopamine production. And then the best aerobic exercise is things like doing a jog for 20 minutes or doing a 40-minute spin class. So really getting that aerobic activity up, that also helps to support raising dopamine as well. And you need dopamine to support progesterone production. So that's it in a nutshell. So I'll take you through those again. I've written them down so I don't forget. We've got nicotinamide ribose. That helps to support cholesterol turning in, synthesizing pregnenolone right at the top of the hormone cascade. You know, we need that pregnenolone. So we need nicotinamide ribose for that, or niacin. Some people have a different form of B3, but the nicotine ribose has been shown to help mitochondria function, and it's shown to be help pregnenolone production. So that's that. You also need to make sure that you've got enough iron in your body, enough ferritin stores, and enough serum iron. Get both of those tested. If you are low, you need to supplement with iron, and you should supplement as well with ascorbic acid. Make sure you're ascorbic. If you've been through a lot of fatigue, a lot of stress, you get coughs and colds frequently, or you get stressed, or you get sick, frequently, then you can supplement with ascorbic acid as well, and that will help the production of pregnenolone. Next, you want to look at taking either Vitex or the herb chase tree. Now just be careful with this because it does stimulate luteinizing hormone, it does stimulate follicle stimulating hormone, and it does suppress prolactin. So if you're breastfeeding, don't take it, but it can be great, particularly if you're trying to conceive, you've got fertility issues, you've got a luteal phase defect, it can be fabulous for that. Next is ubiquinol. Ubiquinol helps to to raise follicle stimulating hormone and also progesterone. 150 to 300 milligrams of ubiquinol, which is a form of CoQ10, which is more highly bioavailable, so always go with ubiquinol. Next is raising thyroid hormone T3, because that helps to support progesterone synthesis. You can use selenium and you can use zinc for that. Selenium at around 150 to 300 micromilligrams, zinc at around 30 to 50. You can also try foods like Brazil nuts, oysters, and also pepitas. Then also you want to raise your dopamine. Dopamine is fantastic at helping to support progesterone synthesis. You can do things like taking tyrosine. You can always also support it by doing aerobic exercise like spin class, like running. And also doing new things, exciting things, new foods in particular, going out for dinner to a new food place, trying a new taste that raises dopamine, also going on roller coasters and fun fair rides. And lastly, I want to give you this little tip about candle gazing. Candle gazing is where you stare at the candle. You stare at the flame, and it's like a meditation, and you just don't close your eyes. When you need to close your eyes, just close them slowly and open them again, and you do that for around 3 to 10 minutes. That helps to stimulate the pituitary gland, and that in turn helps with progesterone production. Now, of course, we haven't touched on all the stress today. We haven't touched on the best foods to have, but in my next video that you'll be able to view, I'm going to be talking about the best herbs to support progesterone production. So I hope you enjoyed that video today. If you've missed out on 6 body signs of low progesterone, check that video out, because there's tons of interesting information in there as well if you're sitting on the fence or you're unsure if you've got low progesterone. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please subscribe and talk to you next time. Bye.